Welcome everybody to another episode of the Popcorn Watchlist podcast, where we discuss and celebrate our favorites in TV and film. I am your host Xavier, coming to you with a very special episode with my fellow Popcorn Watchlist panelists, Danny, Anthony, and Zach. Say hello, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Hello.
What's up?
So we are here actually doing a little bit of a different take. We normally talk about TVs and film. Some of those things that we have from a visual medium can encompass documentaries. And today we're actually talking about a new documentary that just released from Disney Plus specifically. It's a documentary that's really special to me, near and dear to my heart. And it's about one of the best subjects in, I think, in film and TV, like in all history, all of this going on. Kind of rambling a bit because it's so monumental, and it's wild that it took so long to make a documentary about this. But it's actually highlighting the life and work of none other than the GOAT of all music composing for film and even some TV, which I was surprised to find out. And I've mentioned it before that without this person having their genius throughout all of TV, so much of film and some of TV as well, that I really wouldn't be the person who I am today without them. And so today we're talking about music by John Williams. I know it's kind of a really long intro, but it's just, you have to do it some justice. This was a real surprise and delight that it came out just very recently, and finally took the time to watch it. And basically here we want to just tell you a little bit about what it goes over and some of the fun stories we got to find out about some of our favorite film scores, and even some unknowns that until recently, I found out. And I know Zach is sharing some stuff as well. But to get right down to it, Danny, let's break down a little bit of the facts. This premiered exclusively on Disney Plus, correct?
Yeah, Disney. It came out only on Disney Plus. I believe it came out maybe like a month ago or a couple of weeks ago.
I think like a week or 2 weeks maybe.
I think it's like the end of October.
I saw it this past weekend. And I think it came out a little bit before that.
And then I'll find it out right
But
now.
it's a direct to Disney Plus documentary done by Lucasfilm.
It's October 23rd.
Nice.
And it's a 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Of course it is.
As it should be.
As it should be, man.
It's too low.
It's too low.
So yeah, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's, how long is it?
Hour and 45.
45.
Exactly. I was pleasantly surprised it was an hour and 45. I felt like we got to some of where John Williams really hit his stride, which was like the late 70s, like the mid to late 70s, when he started just cranking out banger after banger after banger of iconic music. And you're looking at it as like, oh, it's only like 44 minutes in. Like, this is insane. Like, it's so cool. But
I felt like it went too quick. Like it could have been.
It could have been a 3 hour, and it still would have been lacking.
And they missed.
Yeah.
Stuff.
I mean, yeah, like you weren't gonna go out every single little thing.
Yes, do it.
But as much as I want to do it,
10-part series.
Yeah.
Of every decade, or the formative points of John Williams. But I think he's 90.
He's 92, 93
now.
92, yeah.
Yeah,
he's getting there, man.
He's getting there. But what I loved seeing in this documentary, that he's still energetic. He is.
They filmed a lot of the scenes last year.
Yeah, he'll be 94 in February of 2025.
Oh, he's
93 in February of. Because right now he's 92. Yeah, dude, it's incredible, and to see a lot of just his insights from the points of his life, especially because as growing up, I've always thought like, what inspired or got into John Williams to really help kind of like express himself through music creation and music playing, and there's just a lot we find out about that like we might have picked up from a book, or like trying to piece together a whole bunch of interviews, but thankfully the documentary, which was put together by was his name Laurent? No, not Laurent. His last name I think was an L, but
No, Laurent something.
yeah,
Let me see here.
Laurent Bouzereau.
There we go.
Yeah, and he's done a few of these before. Like he actually, which is really cool, is I think he actually did the documentary on the Bloody 100th. This was on, I think, like Apple TV Plus, where it's the actual documentary behind the Masters of the Air show that they had. So like talking about the real life stories there. So he's done a lot of this before. So I didn't know until like after the fact, but it's great. It's really well put together, and it's a kind of good chronological pace of some of the highlights of John Williams, what got him to get him into music, and how he really fell into, or how he found film scoring of all things. Because it's funny because as gifted as a musician he was, I studied music in high school, and college, and even he was at the point where he was like, hey, like I can make more money, conducting and composing. Mm-hmm. He's like, I had 3 kids now, so I have to, I have to try to, leverage this out, because his main strength was like playing piano, which makes sense because you finally realize like, oh wait, he's like an accomplished like jazz pianist and just a performing pianist in general. And it's great to see that he came from like a family of musicians. So like his dad was like a drummer, I think guitarist, and his mom was she an actress, if I'm not mistaken. I think
she was a dancer.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they were all in like the entertainment business industry. And I think in the documentary in the beginning they were mentioning like, oh, his dad always said like, oh yeah, you could do this, but after you finish your piano lesson, or like after you do.
Yeah, he would like pay her like, yeah, you can play piano, but you have to like kind of, if you play piano for 15 minutes, you kind of have to do double time and practice baseball. So it's like
no, it was the other way around.
Was it?
Yeah, you gotta play baseball, but you gotta play
piano the same amount of time that you practice.
No, because I think he, I don't know. I remember him saying like to play one longer than the other. I just don't remember which one it was.
I thought the one that he ended up being really good at, which is piano. But what I liked about it too is that he, growing up, thought that like, oh, like I did this so much. It's like when I grew up, obviously I just have to be a musician. Like that was like burnt into his brain the whole time, and like it was almost like. Not that like he was molded or forced to do it. He just realized like, hey, I like this stuff, and this is obviously what I'm going to do next. And then I don't know, like it's funny seeing people like George Lucas, Steven Spielberg like refer to him as Johnny a lot. That threw me off guard. I was like, what are they doing? And then I was like, wait, no, they're allowed to do that, I suppose, because this is the decades long relationship.
Because he didn't change
but that's
to using
like his actual name too.
Named after his dad, because they called him Johnny.
Yeah, they called him Johnny Jr.
Johnny Jr.
Mm-hmm.
But when they mentioned it, where at some point it's like, oh, you got to put John
to make it more professional.
That's what they said. Yeah, because
but at some, I don't remember
was Johnny.
It was for Jaws or something.
It was when
Jaws.
he started his film career. So when he did his first movie, Spielberg's first movie, that's when it started. So I think it was Sugarland Express.
He did films before then.
No.
I think.
No, he was doing
was
TV
it just
shows.
strictly TV?
He was doing TV
that?
shows, and then so I think it was his agent or somebody told him like, hey, if you're gonna be doing music for the movies, you have to like present yourself better. And Johnny sounds like a little kid, so it's like just call yourself John. So that's why it's like all his movie scores are John Williams.
Yeah, hence the name of the documentary, Music by John Williams. Yeah, it was really cool to see that like the kind of evolution of it, and even him like growing up, like they lived up in the he was born in Queens, share something with one Peter Parker if you want to get really nerdy like that. But yeah, and then they moved over to California, which I always thought he was like born and raised in California. So again, another little tidbit I didn't know. And how he was played for music in the Air Force, like, so that was really cool. I knew people who were in the military and were in the military music groups, and then after that, that's when he leveraged it into starting to play in those kind of entertainment industries and entertainment spheres. So it was really cool just seeing that, and then just like, getting into jazz and just like, hey, like this is, like jazz really, like, he really clicked with jazz. And
it's just like showing the progression from like how he started, and then now he's like enjoying jazz, and then also starting the TV show work.
Yeah, and like starting with TV show work, I didn't know he played on a lot of like iconic themes for TV shows. Like that kind of like that blew my mind. I was like, wait a minute, like he did like he played piano for like Leonard Bernstein, Henry Mancini, that was like, holy crap, no wonder like there's still like that sort of that flair, or that kind of like feel for old school classical like orchestral film and visual medium music.
Gilligan's Island. He played piano on, I think, on Gilligan's Island.
Lost in Space.
Yeah, that blew my mind.
Yeah, I didn't know about that one either.
Like I know the theme is just like, wait, what? That was John Williams. Like, oh, no wonder. Like, it's just the man can't escape space. No,
the old one from the '60s, not the
two reboots.
Yeah, not the movie that came out like 20 years ago, or the Netflix reboot.
The one with Gary Oldman.
Yeah.
And John Hurt. No, William Hurt.
With Joey from Friends.
Yeah, and Joey from Friends, and Heather Graham.
Matt LeBlanc.
Yeah. Dovetail. And then so from there, it was kind of like, that's where the early 70s started happening. And then who was it that like, I forget the story exactly how Spielberg met John Williams. It was like, I think like someone referred, was it that they referred Spielberg to Williams, or did he, like someone say, hey, you should meet him?
Well, he had seen some movies that he composed.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
I think like he did one of like a Western with John Wayne, and I think he just liked what he heard, and he's like, hey, who is this guy who composed these scores? And then I think he just ended up meeting him and to ask him if he could do his first movie. And then after that, it was just like, the rest was history. Like he loved what he did on his first movie, and he's just like, I just want you to do the music for all my movies.
Oh, how hilarious and like enlightening is it that to find out that Steven Spielberg is a massive film score nerd like us. Like, I mean, probably way more, obviously way more than us.
Not probably.
Yeah, like he definitely way more than us. But like the fact that like one of the things that got me into movies was its music, and like to see that like even like the love and the passion that Spielberg had for film scores even back then, like in the 70s, and as him just starting up to be one of the goats of directing. It's really cool to see that passion, and then like John Williams even like recognized that too. He's like, well, he knows this stuff more than I do, because like I don't really go out to watch movies and make this stuff. It's cool, but I don't go out there and watch a lot. But he's like, oh, Steven seemed like a really cool guy, and we kind of just understood each other. And from there, that's when he made the stuff for Sugar Land Express, and how like he gave and it's one of the prevailing things that John Williams does, that he'll find like a voice for or a theme of the movie or the character through like a particular instrument, which that one was a harmonica. Mm-hmm. And from there it kind of expands into other things, and that's where we get to some of the more like, I love how the documentary highlights like these are on the times where John Williams really hits his stride and just becomes like where he cements himself as like one of the best, if not the best, in film composing, where you have like Jaws, Star Wars, Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Midway.
We're just talking about the 70s. It was from the mid to late 70s.
So it was Jaws in 75, Family Plot, which was a Hitchcock movie, in 76.
Yeah, a Hitchcock film.
Midway was also in 76, and then Star Wars in 77, and then Close Encounters also came out 77.
Yeah, he did Star Wars and Close Encounters.
Superman 78.
Yep, Superman was 78. Like those are the things. Like holy crap!
Yeah,
like
you're just on a roll.
Yeah, and like it's great because he's been in the industry so long. Like he starts talking about like these famous directors, like Richard Donner. Like oh yeah, like and like I did some stuff for Fox, because he did a lot of TV for Fox at the beginning, and then 20th Century Fox later on.
Robert Altman.
Yeah, so he's like, oh, like, I just with Dick Donner. I'm like, oh, he means Richard Donner from Superman. Okay, cool. Like he's just like just throwing out like the cool little nicknames here and there. Like again, like just casually, like it's cool. I was like, he can do that. Like, and then that's where like he talks about how I think it was like George Lucas was aware of John Williams, and that first he had the pivotal choice of, do I do A Bridge Too Far, that had like all these A-list actors, like Sean Connery was in there.
I saw
Kirk Douglas, like they were like heavy hitters at the time.
James Caan.
Yeah, like and
I saw the name. I saw those.
Like he really wanted to do that.
And he's like, man, it looks really cool to do. And then like Spielberg's looking like, no, you gotta work with George. Like he's doing something special with this Star Wars. And he's like, I guess so. Sure, let's take a look at this. And then he started exploring.
Could you imagine?
Yeah,
I mean,
if that decision wasn't,
people were thinking that George Lucas was crazy. Looking at reading that script, you're just like, what is this?
Like Peter Cushing, I remember, and
Harrison Ford. Also, they're like,
Harrison Ford, like, oh, this is goofy as heck. Sir Alec Guinness is like, this is whatever, but like, sure, we're roll with this. And then they realize it's insane, like to the point where like Star Wars is so formative that he that it was one of the first film scores to go platinum, or is it the first film score to go platinum?
Maybe, but when it came out, it was I think a two disc album, and when they showed it in the documentary, it was ranked the second best selling album behind Fleetwood Mac, their most famous album.
Yeah,
man, there are a lot of actors in this A Bridge Too Far. Oh my god, Michael Caine, Elliot Gould.
Oh, I forgot about Michael Caine.
Anthony Hopkins.
It's like a Nolan movie.
Yeah, it basically was a Nolan movie before.
Robert Redford. Ah, so many names. Holy crap, dude. Wow. Good choice.
Yeah, right? He's like, either way,
I mean, despite all these like big names, like it's still a good choice.
But buddy, you know what? Good choice. Yeah. And then so from
just
there,
like, that's how good of friends they were already, that Spielberg could just go to him and be like, hey, I think you should talk to my buddy over here who's doing this movie, and I think you really want to work on this. And then he's just like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I guess. I guess so. I can do it. You know what I really like?
It's pretty crazy that's like that little small tiny decision and small tiny like nudge is like what created probably one of the most iconic.
He has
movie soundtracks.
He says like, oh, I haven't heard of American Graffiti.
Yeah,
not because of him, because of me.
Yeah,
he's like, I don't watch movies.
Not fault of George's, it's mine. Yeah, not his fault, mine. I love that. He's like, it's my fault. So like, and he has a wicked sense of humor too. That's what one of the things that over time I've learned about John Williams. I love his sense of humor, and the going through when they go from they talk because like a lot of what's cool is that these interviews, like you'll have John Williams there, but like Spielberg's there too. Just like, I'm just hanging out with my buddy John Williams. Like, why not?
Johnny.
Yeah, with Johnny. And the cool thing is that like they talk about Jaws being like coming up from two notes, and then just like, and they talk about the concept of what's great about themes and leitmotifs and other be able to do things that it can drive character action even though the character's not on screen. Mm-hmm. I was like, dude, this is perfect for Jaws. He's like, yeah, because I had a freaking shark that didn't work half the time because the mechanical shark was busted during filming.
Yeah, he said I had a musical shark.
Yeah,
versus a mechanical shark.
Mechanical one. And I love how they go from Jaws to Close Encounters. We graduated from 2 notes to 5.
Which it took me until I got like most of the way through that section, that on the title card for the documentary, those notes are the Close Encounter. It's the motif from Close Encounters, which I was like, that's what that is.
What did you think, Zach, about the little insight that John Williams provided when he talks about how those 5 notes, how it ends in a certain point in the scale?
Yeah, because look,
that's
in
like
music,
theory, right? He was doing like mini music theory.
Yeah,
for 2 minutes.
We as humans, even if you're not musically inclined, like we as humans, we need resolution in a lot of things in life, and music is one of those things where if you don't end on like the right note or the right chord, it seems like okay, there should be like a final, like there should be a period. But he was saying how like you get that this and that and or but or if or whatever.
Right, because there's no
resolution.
If you watch that movie and you know what those 5 notes like mean for the movie, then you know that like it can't be like a finite ending, because it was more of like asking a question and to get a response, and so like he couldn't have the 5 notes be an ending. That's why when he's like explaining it and he's just like doing the different keys on the piano, he's like it can't end on this note because it just doesn't sound right. He's like you need it to be more of like a question, or in this case he was saying like a but.
Yeah, like it's like
not finished.
It's more like a conjunction. Like, hey, something's coming after this. So pop quiz, Danny, Zach, have you guys seen Close Encounters of the Third Kind?
No.
I knew it.
Nice.
I was watching this part. I'm like, I'm pretty sure you guys have not seen this. Yeah,
I've definitely heard of it, but I just never seen it.
Especially at the very end, like the reason like they bring up those notes and how like it ends into like this rapturous like resolution of music into like this kind of like
the
great
clip that they show.
Yeah,
also
very ending. Yeah, like and then he's talking about like, hey, how do I like make this like happen, because how he was kind of stumped because there's going to be so much happening, like the whole section with the lights, like Anthony and I anyone who's listening has seen the movie, like this is like towards the very very end of the movie, and it's kind of like the resolution of what's going on with these extraterrestrials that are visiting Earth, and this whole thing is like trying to communicate with them, and like how it ends into some stuff, and it's really like it was cool to see that like he was struggling with that, because like, man, I just don't like I'm stumped. There's just so much going on, and how to come from Star Wars. And at the time, his dad was like, "Don't worry, son, you'll figure it out." And like how this like calmly reassuring was, like, oh, like a good father said, "Don't worry, you'll figure that out." Like it was cool to see that even at times, like the greats can struggle. So I love seeing little things like that in this documentary, as well as little stories and interviews from other people talking about what a lot of these film scores meant to them, or what those films inspired in John Williams to make things, like in terms of like musical flares and musical like characteristics in the movie. Like I love I just get to some of a great example of this, what he talked about and Spielberg talked about, it was Indiana Jones. Mm-hmm. Like the fact that he's like, oh, like he's writing musical characters like for Harrison Ford, like, but yeah, like he said, based off of what like certain subtleties in his acting and like the way he looks, and then Spielberg's like, yeah, like he's even adding musical flares like to like the snakes.
Yeah.
I thought that was so freaking cool. And it's like, you know what? That's right. Like I hadn't thought about it like that. I was just like, oh, like you're adding like little pieces.
It reminds me of like old 30s, 40s, and 50s cartoons where they add music to emphasize sound effects
because they have
that are happening.
Orchestra playing the music for those cartoons. Yeah.
Like if you watch anything old like Tom and Jerry, you'll find great examples of that.
Yeah, they had house mini orchestras play a lot of those Tex Avery cartoons, Looney Tunes, and that like is a holdover even today. Like that's why like when I hear movies today that they filmed it with like a decently sized like stacked orchestra with live humans making live music and that getting mixed in, like that already like piques my interest. Like, hey, like that's great. Like someone's still doing that. Like I know Anthony will always talk about those. That when we like if we go and see a movie and know like, oh nice, like here are these, like you'll see like in the credits like they had a whole orchestra, like, oh, you can tell this is it, and like that makes like a difference. Like imagine like you have a lot of, for example, a lot of the effects from like in like the Matrix, right? Like okay, like you have like the digital kind of like effects, but a lot of that movie is filmed with, or like is scored with a live piece orchestra. Like
Don Davis.
Yeah, like Don Davis like wrote like those a lot of the horn flares and like the like if you listen to like
the Matrix sound.
The Matrix sound is like is an orchestral like cue, like it's awesome. And you love to see and hear that like when that happens in movies, and so the whole documentary goes off of that, like what each of these little things mean to him, and I think it might be like some of his like favorites that they brought up, but also like some of the more iconics. But like they talk about the 1-2 combo of Jurassic Park and Schindler's List of just being like completely different, like ends of the spectrum, but still being incredible.
What a year.
94, right? 93? 93.
Yeah.
Why do I keep saying 94? Yeah, 93. That was nuts. 82 was E.T. and like talking about how and E.T. is a good example. Again, I don't want to spoil too much in the documentary. How like when they interview musicians that have played John Williams music, whether if it's film scores or actual other pieces of music he's written, they talk about how like he writes for the musician and like he wants to speak and like and showcase the mastery of that, like without it getting too like over the top. So you get that, for example, I've always thought about when I was a kid listening to it was E.T. Like that last piece of music when they talk about how he wrote it for the pianist that he uses a lot.
Yeah, he reuses them.
And it's just like, hey, rehearse this, learn it. And he's like, oh, I'm going to give you 4 days.
Figure it out.
No, like, hey, like do them 4 days. And he's like, and you see it, like he's stumbling. Like it was cool to see that dude stumbling. I forget the name of the pianist, but like he stumbled a little bit. It's like, oh crap, like learning it.
It's
I was
a hard piece.
it's insane. Like I don't know if I'm gonna put Zach on the spot again. Have you ever seen E.T.?
As a kid, but
Okay.
I don't remember much.
So like this is the Zach, but Dan, have you seen it?
No.
I've seen it.
Okay, so like it's the very end of the movie where like E.T.'s about to finally get reunited and go home. Like they're getting him out to the forest and like they're crawling through the forest trying to run away from the cops from the authorities and the government coming after E.T. But the like there's a nice like the melodic piano playing around and it's this whole like sweeping piano like section that's just all showcasing it and it's kind of like, hey, you're going nuts. We're gonna let you do this. He also did the same thing with the harpist, which if you listen to a lot of other John Williams stuff, I remember even for like the prequels and the Star Wars prequels, like it's funny, George Lucas says like I wouldn't have done the prequels if I couldn't get John Williams. Like there you'll hear like episode 1, there's a lot of like harp specifically. Like, oh, I'm gonna throw harp in here. This is gonna be like done for flair, but also like give it a character, like it's gonna tell a story in it, and it is cool seeing that as those instances where he's working in the recording studio with those musicians. It's seeing everyone that plays with him, having fun and being excited to play that music.
And he's worked with the London Symphony for a lot of his music from, I think, was it from Star Wars onward?
Ever since Star Wars, yeah, like he had a great working relationship with the London Symphony.
And he also worked with Boston Pops. He's recorded a few things, I know.
Dude, I didn't know that whole bit with the Pops where he
was there for a little bit and then
where he
resigned
resigned and then he came back. I didn't know he came back. I always knew he was with the Boston Pops. Like growing up playing music, I was like, yeah, Boston Pops, John Williams.
I think
never a break.
That was in I think 1980.
I want to say that he recorded.
And he resigned 84, so he was there for a few years
with them.
Yeah, I
think
so.
He recorded the Olympic music with them in the 80s because it was
and the NBC stuff. Did you do NBC with them too?
Probably, I would think so.
The mission music.
I
Yeah,
would think so.
Like
why go to London, record that, and then
just do it with the Boston Pops. And it was nice to see that. I really love that they highlighted that.
And they show that he still. I don't know if he does now, but they were showing that he still tries to go there twice a year to like do concerts there.
Yeah, it's like it's almost an institution
at the Berkshires.
Yeah, how cool was it seeing that like, and this is something that when I grew up playing music, and maybe it was the same for. I think the three of us all played music at some point in time in like middle school and high school. How interesting it was to see like back then, a lot of orchestral music players were like poo-pooing and looking down on music for a visual medium, and that was
Boston Pops. Yeah,
right. Yeah, not to throw any Boston Pops.
Funny enough, my first impression before we get into that is that when he resigned and he came back, I'm like, oh, they fired this guy.
Sure they fired the people that were
the ones that were musically different or that had like creative differences,
creative differences.
Because I think they mentioned that like, oh, we resolved those issues. I'm like, yeah, they got fired.
They said it was like there were people that were being unprofessional that like they wouldn't practice or they wouldn't come on time because they just
attitude
or they'd sneer and snicker like I gotta do this.
Like they were above playing this type of music.
Yeah, and then you go look at now like from 2023 Hollywood Bowl
he's
concert, and it's
doing
like
it for
17,000 people,
40
like,
years or something.
you know, cheering. Like, I love it. Like Seth MacFarlane was like, yeah, like you go out there, it's like you're thinking the Beatles are playing, like, and it's just like it's people going wild for, you know, John Williams.
And the thing is, doing that for 45 years.
Yeah.
The Hollywood Bowl
yeah.
concert.
Yeah. And the thing is that when you compare John Williams to other like composers that we know, like, you know, like your Hans Zimmers and your Michael Giacchinos and your Alan Silvestri's, I think John Williams is one of those that still writes like very traditional film music, where it's like very, it's like strictly, like pretty much strictly orchestral. Whereas Hans Zimmer might throw in a little bit of like electronic stuff.
A little?
in there. Well, depending on the movie, I guess.
Yeah.
But you'll have, you know, he'll have his moments, or anyone else. You know, they're throwing a little bit of flair in there just to make it, you know, modern, I guess. But John Williams does everything pretty much like analog.
Even
He's
with
very
like
analog.
writing down the transcription of the music
By hand.
By hand.
I know, like, if
That's-
he's still working,
that's
I
gotta
hope
be
he
crazy.
has, like, I would hope that he'd have someone out there to write it, or like type it into a computer machine. Because I like that he points out, I was like, yeah, like, if I was able to learn to do it, like, I'd probably crank out a whole
Be
lot
so much
more.
quicker, but
Yeah, and like that reminds me of, to the point where like they would interview his daughter and his grandson. I thought that was really cool too. It's like, yeah, like there are times where, because he's involved in the process, a lot of things he misses out on, or like he gets really involved in his work, but like, you know, like what we get out of it is like, you know, masterpieces really. And like, again, like he's certain notes, oh, I gotta write this out. Okay, cool. Oh, let me revise it. I gotta take the entire pages. And seeing in the documentary like original sheet music for different parts from different films that were made at the time, that was really cool to me. Like seeing like that
like
stuff
a
still
whole
preserved.
collection of
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that one show where they show the archives.
yeah, dude. It's seeing a
Or,
lot of that.
even like the shots, like the close up shots or the macro shots of like the not the binders, but the books, and you see the film name, and they're like an inch and a half, 2 inches thick.
Thick books.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's so cool to see that.
And then, what was your original question about the orchestra from a couple minutes ago?
That
Like you were saying, like because we've all at one point have like
Oh,
done
yeah.
music and stuff.
like that we've all like played music. I think the question was really like, how cool is it to see that, like, going from, like, I made the point already, like how going from like professional musicians at the time, like into the late 70s and the 80s, just like, oh no, we're gonna play like, you know, the Aaron Copland's,
gotcha, yeah.
the high end music, like the you know the your standards of classical music, and even like some of the stuff from like the early 20th century. Like, no, we're gonna play these symphonies, like these real like key hallmarks of music. And it's like film score, like this is hokey, like this is trash or beneath us. Now we see that as like, that's like, hey, that's the gold standard, and we can tell when it's real quality, and you can celebrate it. Like, and then, you know, maybe growing up, you tried playing some of that stuff, and that got you like, hey, I want to play that better, and maybe that got you to wanting to learn to play the instrument a little better too.
Yeah, because when I was in middle school and high school, well, especially middle school, everyone at some point on a daily basis would play something from film or TV.
Oh yeah, always.
Like who in my class played Beethoven or Mozart or whoever the hell? No one.
Probably because
Yeah.
they
No
couldn't.
one.
People are like, oh, I'm gonna play Final Bumblebee. I'm gonna play Carnival of Venice. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna play. I was like, let me play Superman. Like, and people are like, yeah, Superman. Just like.
Funny enough, it was mostly a Family Guy theme, but I mean that was a few students.
I mean, why do you think, you know, this ties in perfectly to, like, again, like seeing all the different ranges of music that John Williams made. Like you get highlighted some of the things that he made for soloists or for orchestral pieces, like, you know, symphonies, you know, like, and concertos for you know, some of the world's best musicians. Like, it was great to see Yo-Yo Ma and others on this
That was a nice
on this one.
surprise.
Yeah, it's really cool. A surprise to be sure, but a welcome. You know, and then we talk about how he's made themes for, you know, things like the Olympics and dude, the NFL theme. I didn't know he did that.
Sunday Night Football.
I read
didn't know
about
that.
that and I completely forgot about it.
I knew
and
about the
then- and
Olympics.
then
I didn't
saw
know about
that.
the other two.
Yeah,
I was
the,
like, oh.
the Olympics I would play in like high school and college, like the Summon the Heroes, like.
Oh.
I
One
used to
thing-
play it like a boss.
One thing that they didn't mention, which I'm surprised they didn't, the 20th Century Fox fanfare that we know today is because of him. The original version was just the and then it would end, but not the da 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 da. That's John Williams.
They added John Williams.
He added that. Kind of like how the Universal one is Brian Tyler, for example. It's like he took what was already there, revamped it, and then changed it, add some things, whatever. John Williams did that with the 20th Century.
Nice. The 20th Century fanfare, like it's iconic because of that, and obviously the lead in to Star Wars.
Yeah, the Star Wars was the first movie to incorporate that extended that version of the 20th Century fanfare.
I don't want to spoil it, but you also get the reaction of George Lucas hearing the Star Wars opening fanfare for the first time. Like his description, again, I don't want to spoil it, is really, it's kind of golden because
that whole section is really
whole section's awesome. And he even says that he's like 50% of Star Wars is the music. I mentioned before, he wouldn't have made the prequels without John Williams. Like there are people who just like, your film, will be elevated if you're able to get John Williams. Look at Chris Columbus with Home Alone. They talk about a really cool thing where they screened the movie just kind of like with type music or whatever, and then they screened it with John Williams' score. Like their scores went up by like 500%. The man made Christmas. For me, he made Christmas. Yep. Like it's that good.
And the Star Wars thing, I think I mentioned it like in a very, very early podcast episode where we might have been talking about music or something, and I said that the music in Star Wars is a main character.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it is
up there with Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Princess Leia. It's a main character.
Yeah, it's a main character, and it's like all the other characters.
It's every character
because
every character
has a theme for each character.
I just mean the music is as important as the characters in the movie.
Yeah, no, it's so good, and even to the point where like he, we look at the various accolades and awards he's had, like not just the Grammys and the Oscars, but like you have the cultural awards, the recognition. Like the several things he's gotten from the military, and like I love because of that, like I like that they highlighted a lot of what went through with making like Saving Private Ryan. How at like the first opening of the movies, like we're not gonna put any music, and it's like the music will start right when they focus in on Sean Ryan's body, like right there. I was like, that is as you think about it, like that's absolutely smart. Like you focus on everything that's going on because that's such a harrowing moment in history, and it's extraordinary. And to then you highlight them with the music, and they highlighted other things like Warhorse, Lincoln, Amistad. I was like, holy crap, I forgot he did Amistad. Like, and it's like Spielberg says it, that the whole like he's so good at like creating a sort of like kind of like stoic like American orchestral like stoic horn, or like like honorable like fanfare
that he used for Saving Private Ryan,
which then ends in Hymn for the Fallen, which that's an incredible piece of music to this day. Like it's hard to not get emotional thinking about that, and it's like it goes from beginning to end. It's incredible. It's so cool. Like I actually, just fun story, like in college, the symphony that I played with wind ensemble I played with in FIU, we did a thing where we did some event for like a Memorial Day, and we actually paired up with the choir and played that song.
Nice.
It was it was like they had us like go through a rehearsal where like that plus the video in the background, and they're like, we're just gonna have to play the video because they're like, everybody is gonna break down or like in some way, shape, or form. And I was like, and they were right, dude. I was like, whoo, because they could just because they have you watch the footage and then the music in the background, so like you have the emotional experience that is supposed to convey to the rest of the audience, so that you have that, and like, all right, cool, now you experience it, you can kind of like sort of get it out of your system and then play through it. It was one of the best music playing experiences of my life. I just didn't give it, I don't know if I gave it enough gravitas, but it was really cool. Like it was one of the coolest things I've ever done.
It's cool to look back at that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. Last bit. This one also goes to Danny and Zach. What was your reaction with how he came up with Hedwig's theme for Harry Potter?
Wait.
Do you remember what he said about how he came up with it?
How he came up with it?
Yeah,
I don't.
How the process was
because with the magic and kids part.
Yeah, and then he's like,
kids and magic equals music.
I like that, but like talking about how like something we talked about how difficult it was to like close out Close Encounters or coming up with the inspiration for something like Jurassic Park, having the awe and wonder or the somberness and the real, horror. Yeah, like the real shock and like despondency of what humans are capable of in Schindler's List, like those kind of things. Like talking about like how he came up with it and how difficult it was coming up with Hedwig's theme.
The difficulty of it?
Yeah.
It wasn't.
Or was it? Yeah.
Yeah, you said it was the easiest thing he ever did.
Yeah.
I was like, get the hell out of here. Yeah, like
freaking Harry Potter.
Yeah, he's just like, and it was cool that Chris Columbus was like, he's looking there, he's like, yeah, like, I love how, like, it's like this nice opening, inviting kids thing, and then like, oh, here's some darkness to it. And I was like, and it's like, dude, it's just the mastery of John Williams. I thought that was hilarious. He's like, yeah, it was super easy to make. I was like,
of course one of the most iconic scores, like, you just...
Yeah, like,
I did it in 5 minutes.
I just noodled.
And he didn't see anything in the movie yet. He just...
Not one clip.
At that point, when he made that theme, he was like,
I made this was like
first.
Like 4 minutes long, I think, on top of that, too.
It's pretty insane.
So, because he did the score for the first 3 movies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he talks about, like, sequels. Like, normally... I'm not normally doing sequels, but like a part of he's like a
but
part
he
of
also
me.
did Jaws 2, I think.
And Indiana Jones.
Yeah, Jaws 2, all the Indiana Jones, and all 9 the main Star Wars. He's like some of these like it's like just for consistency. It's not like I'm protective. It's just I feel like and I'm not untrustworthy of any other composer. It's just there's a sort of sense of consistency I want to have with these and be able to kind of build and evolve with them.
And he was like, yeah, but Harry Potter there was too many.
Yeah, it's like Harry Potter's like 8 films, but those composers were able to take and evolve it and still keep those themes very well.
The Splat was on the last one too.
Yeah, I like that he Anthony's you said the forbidden composer here. No, I'm kidding.
I mean, the Splat's awesome.
He's
it's
awesome.
Just that 1 year.
Yeah,
and
shouldn't have won.
the Lily's theme in Deathly Hallows Part 2 is just, the opening music. Oh my god!
Of course, dude.
So good.
That's why you have those times where he was able to like, hey,
God.
you know what? I'm gonna pass it on, and these folks know what they're doing. It's it ends with that kind of recognition and a little bit of his humor and kind of like where he's at in his life right now, and just he likes working and he likes to keep making music. There's a line that he says that like you can make your whole a lifetime of music, but you
I have it here.
Yeah, Anthony. I don't want to butcher
I
it.
wrote that down.
Anthony, thank you.
Hey, don't butcher it, X.
Shut up. I'll go away.
So he says music is enough for a lifetime, but a lifetime is not enough for music.
Yeah, like that hit me, dude.
Mic drop.
Yeah, I was watching this and that hit me. I was like, man, it's true. Like it's just Ron Howard said something about it in the documentary. Because he asked John Williams like, why is it that we respond so well to music and like this highlights it so well? And like he's like, oh, there's so many theories involved. And like what Ron Howard says, again, I won't spoil it because it's great. It's a great explanation. Like it makes sense from like a sort of like primal early human standpoint where it burnt into our brains how certain sounds and make music and it comes into telling stories. It's really great, man. It's awesome. It's definitely a must watch. I think all of us can agree to recommend it no matter what. Danny,
I agree with the Rotten Tomatoes 100%.
I was going to ask Anthony beat me to it. I was going to say, hey Danny, what's the Rotten Tomatoes score so far?
My bad. I was too fast.
Freaking 100%.
Too low. It's too low.
It's too low.
It's too low.
I agree with Zach.
100's not good enough.
There was someone in that rating that didn't line up and drop the score.
Yeah, they were all. It was obviously all 110, and someone's like, no, but it's 100. I must go to the scale. No.
One of the anecdotes I liked was that when they have a couple of directors in the documentary talking about like the process of working with him on like how collaborative that he was with them. That even
for the
like,
movie,
yeah, like George Lucas would say that some composers would come to them and show them a piece that they made, and maybe the director didn't quite like it, but the composer pretty much just said, "Well, this is what I want."
Yeah,
and the director is the director of the movie, and he should have final say. And then George Lucas is like, "Yeah, I would butt heads with people if they don't want to do what I want to do," and he says, I never had that problem with Johnny. That's what he would say.
Yeah.
And Spielberg says the same thing, that like, and when they were talking about Jaws and even other movies, that it would be so collaborative that John Williams would go to Spielberg and ask him, like, is this like what you're looking for? And then when Spielberg said, oh, maybe try this, he would come back like the next day and show him a new take.
Yeah, he would say, "Let me rewrite it, and I'll come back tomorrow."
Yeah, it was super. He was super collaborative and and
Yeah.
And it's just like one of those cool things that you hear. Like on top of that, he's just like such a nice and like genuine person and like a master of his craft, but he still like is at the behest of the director of the movie because it's not his movie. So
and he makes it
really
collaborative,
cool.
and it's not as somewhere like, "Hey, what you say goes." It's like, "What do you think?" And he would I forgot, was it who had said it when they genuinely asked him? Like he's like, "Wow, he's genuinely asking you, what do you think?" Like because this is your vision of the film. Like, what do you genuinely want out of this? Like. And like because he can give you gold, but like at the same time, it's like, hey, does it fitting?
Like you're working together on this project,
That and Anthony, I know Anthony brought that up because the bit they talk about with the binary sunset, it's like this is the original cue, and then George is like,
it was very.
It's like let
weird.
it be.
It was actually like
it was a little more somber.
It was like somber and a little menacing too.
Yeah.
And then George Lucas is like, no, I don't think so. And George Lucas was right, but George Lucas didn't tell him like what to make. He just said, "This is what I'm looking for." And then when he comes back later with what we hear now, it's in the movie. It's like, oh, what a choice, and good thing you listened to the director on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even in a case like with when they mentioned the whole Schindler's List thing, they were joking around saying like John Williams tells Spielberg that are you sure I'm the best composer for
He's pretty much saying like, I don't think I can do this. You need to find somebody else.
And Spielberg's like, well, all the best are dead or some
Yeah, he's like, I would find someone else, but they're dead.
The thing, how like making this movie, I was like, dude, what hilarious, but kind of like like sort of like dark humor on that. It was just like of saying that, and then they laughed about it. It was just nice to see, but like.
And then he
playing it for
Spielberg
and Kate Capshaw, like they were just like, dude, this is hard. And even said, he's like, man, this is emotionally draining, and like I had to go walk. He's like, dude, I don't know if I can do this. I don't think I'm good enough for it. He's like, I would pick someone else, like he said, but they're all dead. So cool, man.
And what's crazy is that
he continued to burn his piano down.
What's crazy that since that was the same year as Jurassic Park, that Spielberg usually is in, like, he's always there to listen to the recording. That was the one time that he actually wasn't there to listen to the Jurassic Park recording because he was filming Schindler's List. So imagine that he couldn't even go there and listen to.
At that point, I'm like, I trust John.
Right.
Do your thing. And come back to me, or show me whenever.
Yeah, I trust you, John. Then he brings back freaking
masterpiece,
like 4 notes of Jurassic Park. It's like, that's it. We got it. This is amazing. Oh, and I love that they brought in she was playing French horn. I think she was French horn playing for the LA Symphony. I think she was playing, and she's playing the opening for the Jurassic Park theme. And oh, that hit me, man. Like I remember playing that like middle school. Like like we were trying other instruments. He's like, let me try French horn. And I figured out the Jurassic Park theme. I was like, this is the coolest instrument ever. But I'm still the trumpet. But like, John Williams loves French horn. He loves trombone, and he just loves brass.
He said he used to play trombone when he was younger, and then I think it was his dad or somebody told him like, I think you should stick with piano. Like, stop playing trombone.
All of his dad's children play piano.
Yeah.
He even mentioned how his sister at a time was better at piano than he was.
Believe it. No, I'm kidding. That's so cool. Oh, and then fun fact, one of his sons is the lead singer for Toto.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
And then the other one is a drummer for a bunch of bands, for Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young and other bands. I'm like, geez.
Dude, that guy.
What a family.
That guy sings Africa. His son sings
John
Africa.
Williams' son.
John Williams' son.
What is he? He plays.
Dated Rosanna Arquette.
He sings it, or he plays the guitar or something.
No, they said he was the singer.
He's the singer
for Toto. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought he was.
Take you all the way, like Rosanna. Like I was like, dude, this is the same guy. Your dad is John Williams. What the hell? Like I can't like. My dad is just, the most prolific and famous musical composer of all time. I don't know.
Not a big deal.
Not a big deal. So yeah, this documentary is crazy.
Was there anything you didn't like about the documentary?
How dare you?
No.
How dare you ask that question?
There was no
There's
dark.
got to be some critiques.
There was no dark character assassination. Where, there was nothing where like he shows the dark side of John Williams. I'm glad. That was all seriousness and joking aside. I really like. I that's the kind of stuff I don't necessarily think we need to know. I did like it all. Yeah, like I mean, like you're not gonna hit every little piece of music, which is totally fine. But
they should have.
Yeah, so that's my critique.
This document should have
just been longer.
It should have been a 12-hour documentary.
Yeah, that's my only.
He's like, here's every piece of music we did.
Oh, and he also, Danny just pulled it up now. That his son, it's the band from the band Toto, also did the singing voice for Simba.
Yes, he did.
In The Lion King.
I heard. I read that up earlier too.
Really, I thought Matthew Broderick actually sang.
He did not. Even though he could.
He could have.
But
He could
didn't.
have.
Yeah, I like it. Like I really love this.
Young
like
Simba
it.
or old Simba?
Older Simba.
Okay.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this documentary. Like it's one of like it's now like I'm glad someone finally made it because it's like sort of like a great validation of it all.
It's wonderful.
I know there's some people maybe like if I have one critique is that Harrison Ford wasn't there to get interviewed.
Well,
Or Mark Hamill.
Okay, so
Or Mark Hamill.
this was
Especially Mark
I guess I
Hamill.
have
What
two
the hell?
critiques. So to me, I felt that it was a little weird that there weren't really any movie composers
Other than
talking
Alex
about
Silvestri.
it. Yeah,
Well, that's Silvestri.
No,
they
he was
had,
there for
they
a
had
couple.
Thomas
Newman.
but like barely.
Yeah.
Barely.
I think that would have been great to see more of that. Like, you know what I would have loved?
I think it was more
They
of
could
Tom-
honestly
they had a
do.
lot of Thomas
They could
Newman.
honestly do a part 2 of just anecdotes from other movie composers, and that would probably be 3
You know who would have
hours.
been awesome to be in this documentary?
Giacchino.
Exactly.
Dude, Giacchino's just Williams Jr. Like he's trying his best to do John Williams.
But like
Which is
in
why
not
he's so good.
in not a bad way. Like, it's
No,
not like
no.
he's imitating. It's like, look, I have my own like taste and stuff too. And
He has really recognizable
Right,
themes from
yeah.
a lot of Pixar and other movies.
But there's a reason
He's
why
got
they
awards,
they
he's got
got him
Oscars.
to do the music for Rogue One. He was able to do a good job of emulating what John Williams did with all the others. So
yeah, no
in-
Giacchino.
in
Mark's
most likely in the future,
Mark's
if they do a new trilogy, which randomly
they
got
announced
announced,
today.
which is probably not
Something.
going to happen. But if in the future they do a new trilogy,
Get your boy.
in 20 years from now, I wouldn't be surprised if Giacchino is
Get your
the
boy.
new head
Giacchino's.
of doing the
Oh,
score for
yeah,
it.
boy. Yeah. So yeah, good points. Good points.
But no,
brought up,
yeah,
Anthony.
no, like negative critiques. Just like I wish it was longer so that they could show more. Like I was freaking out. I was like, they show nothing about Hook. They showed one scene of Hook, but then
Hey,
At the end.
but then they redeemed themselves.
Hey, I was about to say that they put Hook at the end
end
credits.
credits theme
At
is
first, like,
The
man,
Flight
there's
to
no
Neverland.
Hook. It's like a Spielberg movie. There's no Hook. I was like, no, but they put the at the end. I was like, all right, cool.
They redeemed
Redemption.
themselves.
Good job. I'm glad someone
That
else.
was my one thing. I was like, wait, no Hook, and then there was I was
That's like one of the best parts of that movie.
I was telling Danny, I was like, it was weird that obviously they talk a lot about Star Wars, and then they mentioned a little bit about the sequels, but then I don't even think they touched on the prequels, which I would have liked to hear at least a
mentioned it,
snippet
really.
of like Duel of Fates or something like that.
Or Battle of the Heroes.
Yeah, it would have been. But yeah, like I said, like I'm sure they wanted to, but they could do that. They could technically do that nitpicking with any of these movies because his scores are just too good.
Yeah.
No,
So,
why,
yeah,
why was Mangold in there? I still don't know.
Because he did the most recent Indiana Jones.
He directed part.
That's right.
And he's slated to do some form of Star Wars
stuff.
project.
We're supposed to do like the early Jedi thing, which sounds cool in concept. So we'll see. Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyone
we'll wait
else
30
have
years for that one.
anything else, other notes to
No.
comment on? I think,
Also, you had
it was awesome.
the singer of Coldplay.
Chris Martin's experience with E.T. is awesome.
Yeah.
I love seeing him just nerd out, like geek out about it. He's like, I remember I was in the cinema watching E.T.
That's his first
And then
movie.
they added that to like the opening of their tour.
Yeah, when they come out, like when bands come out, like like Metallica comes out to The Good and Bad and the Ugly, and other bands come out to other songs. Like they come out to the E.T. theme. I was like, that's pretty damn cool. Like I've seen them on tour, and it's cool that they can recognize that. And like they ask for permission. It's like, hey guys, can we do this? Like, well, of course. Like I'm glad that he showed respect.
And then the same thing would happen with the theme from Saving Private Ryan that it was like the most requested from the military to choose that theme.
Makes sense.
It makes sense. It's incredible. It's one of the best pieces of film ever. Film scoring ever. Cool. With that,
Go watch it.
Yeah, watch it.
If you haven't
now,
watched it,
watch it again, and then watch it a third time.
Yeah, there's really no spoilers. So if you
I'll
haven't
probably
watched
watch
it
it again.
and listen to
I'm
this,
gonna watch it
then go watch it after because it's.
I mean, after watching it, I literally just want to go and see all these movies again.
Mhm.
And I like on my way to work to this morning, I just put in John Williams. Like,
Yeah, it made me want to rewatch
John
Close
Williams
Encounters. It
Just a
actually
whole
made
playlist.
me want to rewatch Close Encounters and actually watch like they played pieces from Lincoln. I was like, oh yeah, like this was actually really good. So like it's great for many reasons to watch
I
Lincoln.
think it's a great movie.
Yeah, it's a great movie. It's like, oh man, yeah, the score is great too.
Daniel Day-Lewis, like 10 out of 10.
He's pretty good. He's pretty good.
I guess.
Yes, he has some.
He
accolades.
only does good movies.
It's true.
He's pretty good.
Yeah.
Except I think The Crucible was like the exception that was like kind of like mid.
Wow. I guess sure, but the movie's mid, not him.
Critically
Oh,
speaking, yeah,
the movie's
movie
mid,
itself
but
is,
not
like,
him.
pretty mid.
Did we mention
But
that
every movie he's done is
he's
like
been nominated
eight or
54
better.
times for Oscars?
54 nominations for Oscars.
How
Is
many
that the
wins?
most?
I think he has like
5 or 7?
5 or 6.
Only?
Yeah.
That's a crime.
maybe
That's
maybe
criminal.
That's a terrible
That's
rating.
criminal.
maybe
You're
10,
telling me?
But I think he
F you,
has.
Academy.
He might be. I think he might have the most nominations out of anybody.
Yeah.
I
he
wouldn't
does.
doubt it.
He only has 5
he has
Oscars, guys.
1 to
5
2
Oscars.
movies a year.
He's
from
won 5
the
times.
60s,
Yeah.
50s,
Guys,
70s, 80s.
it's Star Wars, Jaws, Harry Potter, E.T., and Jurassic Park.
Which Harry
Oh no, wait,
First
sorry,
one?
no, not those aren't his 5 Oscars. His 5
about to
Oscars are Jaws, Star Wars. Let me see.
Pretty sure Schindler's List won.
Schindler's
Yeah.
List.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Jaws, Star Wars, Schindler's List. Damn it, I'm trying to remember him off the top of my head, but yeah, he has the most Oscars nominations in history. The most living
Ever.
person. Yeah.
Ever. Period. Period.
Fiddler on the Roof. They also highlighted Fiddler on the Roof, which technically is a musical, which is pretty freaking cool. Because he can kind of
West
do it
Side
all.
Story too.
West Side Story, yeah.
That's another one of those things.
Fiddler on the Roof, Jaws, Star Wars,
So-
E.T., and Schindler's List.
That I'm
E.T.,
surprised.
E.T.'s so freaking good.
So that song that they showed for Fiddler on the Roof,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize that was the original song because you
Yeah.
have like that pop artist that did that one cover.
There's been
If that
many
was your
people.
way, girl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Gwen
You mean
Stefani.
Gwen Stefani?
Her.
That
No,
pop
that
star.
pop artist.
I don't listen to Gwen. I don't.
Dude,
freaking
no
know.
doubt.
You know who's the most popular?
I don't
You know who
listen
the
to
most
that.
popular pop artist is in the world according to Chris Martin? John Williams.
Okay.
He said that in the documentary.
Yeah.
He's like he's arguably the most the most the most recognizable pop artist in all of history. I was like, he's not wrong.
For decades.
He's not wrong. Yeah, it's freaking amazing.
Technically, yes.
But technically, yes. So, before we wrap this up, gentlemen, rapid fire. Let's go with some your top 3 John Williams scores. Danny, first.
Ooh, put on the spot.
Exactly.
All right, I guess I'll go. There's no order, but I guess there is an order here.
Put it in order.
So we're all gonna mention Star Wars. So I'm just gonna.
Not if you mention it.
I'm just gonna.
Which, okay, you know what? If we want to split it up,
All
we'll
of
go
it.
Star Wars.
All
no.
of
Which
the whole.
you can pick one Star Wars. You can pitch one Star Wars. Pick the Star
Pick the
Wars.
one
of
that has
it.
your favorite song.
All of it.
the
No,
one
no,
that has your
no.
favorite song.
X, you're wrong. All of it. They all have their iconic themes.
I guess pick one that's your favorite song.
Your favorite theme.
Like
of
your
Star
favorite
Wars.
theme.
All the themes.
Well, I guess movie then. So, episode 4.
Okay, you're in movie? Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
Just that one.
This guy
All the
hates
songs from Return of the Jedi.
all songs from a Jedi? Okay.
Wait, no. Oh, wait, episode 4? Oh, it's
Episode
New
4
Hope. I'm
is
sorry.
New Hope.
New Hope.
My bad.
Yeah, mine was New Hope, especially the Ben Kenobi's death into the TIE attack music. That to me is like some of the coolest things ever. Like I think they played some of that. I think in the Millennium Falcon Smugglers Run. But like when I'm on that ride, that plays in my brain, and it's the coolest thing ever. Like bum, 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 bum. Like there's I don't know like. That whole scene, like if you don't have that music, it's just kind of a whatever gunfighting thing. But like
Yeah.
you put that, it's so riveting and it's thrilling and exciting. It's so damn
It makes
good.
the movie.
Exactly, I love it.
Uh,
Other two, go.
All right. Next one is Harry Potter.
Okay.
Alright.
Zach
as
wants to
I've-
punch you in
I've
the face,
seen-
but yeah.
Seen Harry Potter so many times. And
No, that's fine. Both of those are already on my list anyway. So.
Oh,
Yeah, he's like, I
There you
picked
go.
them all.
And then the third one is gonna be maybe one you guys didn't expect, but it's Home Alone.
Nice.
I like that. Good pick.
That is a good pick.
Home Alone.
That was a backup pick of mine.
I grew up watching Home Alone a
Me
lot.
too.
I had like
course.
the DVD, and we just
VHS.
rewatch it all the time.
VHS of part 2. Oh, it's so good.
And watching that part in the documentary was pretty cool. Seeing how, they did a test before and after, and then I don't know, just seeing how they created like that whole he made Christmas.
John Williams is the secret sauce for so many movies.
Yeah. But yeah, that would be my top 3.
Nice. All right, I'm gonna go now. Pivot over to Anthony.
Oh,
Ooh,
Jurassic Park number 1.
I knew he was gonna say Jurassic Park.
nice.
Probably one of my favorite movies, so I had to because that music is too good.
And not to say any of the ones that we miss are not good, because we could just add all of them to the list.
Yeah, of course.
But there's just
No, you hate
right
Jurassic Park.
now. Sorry.
And since we are just gonna pick a Star Wars one, even though no, I don't want to do that because I don't want that to be like my number 2. It's just I would say
They're not ranked.
I'll make it as a number 4, but just because I know all of you are gonna say something from Star Wars.
Episode 3.
Episode 3,
Yeah, you're not gonna pick the music from episode 3.
maybe Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
Damn, it's either that battle
That
or it's Duel of Fates.
Oh, okay.
Ooh,
So
Duel
3 or
of
1.
Fates.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't pick.
Yeah, that's a hard one. But so Jurassic Park, and then I already know you're gonna say this one, so I'm gonna leave that one to you.
Good.
But then I'm gonna have to take one probably from you. I'm gonna have to go with Hook
Yep.
Oof.
I'm okay with taking that one
Because
because
I-
you left the other one. Thank you.
I know which one you want to say. So, and then this third one was like a tie. I probably would have said Home Alone because of the same reason. Like
Yeah.
I don't know how many times I watched that movie when I was a kid, and that music is just like that music I hear on like Christmas playlists. And I'm like, that's not even a Christmas song. It's from a movie, but I mean, I love it.
Somewhere in
because
my
I
memory
used to-
is iconic.
I think of just the meme version of that song.
There's a
It's played
meme.
on a, I think it's played on a kazoo. I
Yeah.
wanna say.
Oh God, that's like the
It's like- it's
janky
like-
Jurassic Park theme.
It's kind of like My Heart Will Go On,
Like the
on the
Titanic.
recorder.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
kind of like that on
yeah,
that
so-
level.
Hook, just because that like along with Home Alone, Hook was another movie that I again like we spoke about Hook a while ago, a few episodes ago. I watched that movie when I was also really young, and I watched it a lot. So that music is like seared in my brain, and that's why I was really glad. I was disappointed that they didn't show anything of it, and then once they ended the documentary with the Flying to Neverland music, I was like, okay, you won me back. But yeah, Hook is a great one, and I'm gonna say there's too many, man.
That was 3, no?
No,
Oh.
the Star Wars one is like honorable mention
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because we're all gonna pick a Star Wars one.
So it was.
You could pick another one if you want.
So it was Home Alone and.
No, you picked Home Alone. I said Jurassic Park,
Oh, Jurassic
and,
Park
Hook.
and Hook.
So my
Got
third
it.
one will be. I'll say Superman, just because it's
Oh.
so iconic.
a
Everyone
good one.
knows that damn song, and it's so good that like anybody who tries to make a Superman movie like has to try to compete with how iconic and simple, but like also iconic that song is. And, like I knew about that song when I was a little kid, but like which meant nothing because that song came out before I was born, and the character came out before I was born. Like I knew nothing of it, but when I was a little kid,
They still
I just
use that theme in a number of
I know.
Superman
When I was a kid, I just knew
after.
when I knew what Superman was, I always connected it with that music. And it's a bird, it's a plane. And even like
Yeah.
I remember seeing clips of the old like cartoon from even like the 60s or something when that music wasn't even made. But I remember hearing the music connected with that old cartoon when it wasn't even made for that.
Yeah.
So like I just
I think I have a couple of those
and,
DVDs.
and Superman in general is just like such an iconic character in general and the world and culture that music is just like synonymous with the character. So yeah, those three, and then of course I'll pick any Star Wars
and then
song.
he's like whatever, Duel of Fates. All right.
Yeah, and Duel of Fates. So,
All right, Zach.
I could pick any song, but Duel
Zach,
of Fates
you're
is
up.
too good.
All right, so I mean, I already kind of mentioned that two of Danny's themes are the same ones that compositions, I guess, are the same ones that I did. But I want to say that I picked them mainly because you can pick out any, you've got any theme, and it's like, okay, yeah, this is definitely. I know this is Harry Potter. I know this is Harry Potter, or I know this is Star Wars, because he wrote, probably 20 unique themes throughout the entire Star Wars saga for characters, or for whether it's the rebellion or the for the Empire. There are so many themes that you can pick out. Like that is, as the film score as a whole, that is the most recognizable film score of all time. And most of his movies, you recognize them for just the one theme, which is why I didn't choose any of those. Even though I like Jurassic Park, I like Superman, I like all these other ones. It's just really that one main theme that people tend to like pick out. I'm not talking like us that we watch these movies 20, 30 times and we know the themes, but any person that's like more of a casual
in Star Wars.
Everyone knows the main theme for a lot of his movies. But for Star Wars, everyone knows the main theme, the Imperial March, the Force theme, Leia's theme, and then from the prequels, Duel of the Fates, then the revamped versions of the Force themes. Then the sequels, you have Rey's theme, you have the March
of the Resistance.
March of the Resistance. Like everything is like you can pick those out. That's why that one would be my number one pick, Star Wars. If I had to pick a specific movie, I can't even pick a specific movie. I would say the whole prequel trilogy.
Okay.
As a whole, like everything there, like okay, he took what he
did.
The
Revenge of the Sith one, because that song is
specifically,
awesome.
I think Revenge of the cranked. So he took the themes for the prequels from the originals, cranked them to 100, and then Revenge of the Sith was like another 100.
Another notch.
Like just adding the choir was
it's like a whole nother column. Like
it's in a league of its own.
That's what Zach's saying. All right, okay.
And the choir just like in most of the themes in those movies, the choir just adds a whole lot to it. My God. So that I would say specifically the prequel trilogies, despite them being not great movies in general, I think the music just makes up for it by a lot. Number 2, Harry Potter, of course. There are a lot of recognizable themes. I would say, in terms of casual movie goers, it's probably the second most recognizable film score in history.
Well, I think for like younger people.
Well, it was just for casual. Whether younger or not, but I think casually people can pick out Hedwig's theme what's the Christmas theme is really good. And then later on you have other composers kind of taking what he's done in the first 3 and then.
Did he do the Something Wicked This Way Comes from Part 3?
He did the first
1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, he did that. So that song's really cool.
It helps that when you go to Universal that they're playing that music 24/7 when you're like walking around.
Universal's half John Williams.
Yeah. That's why I like staying in the Jurassic Park area.
Yeah.
It's just like I just want to hear the Jurassic Park music the whole time while waiting
Jurassic
in line.
Park,
Like,
you go into Hogsmeade and Hogwarts, like, oh snap, it's more John Williams.
and then
oh no, how perilous! I just have to keep listening to some of the best music.
that's at Islands, and then if you go to Universal, there's the ET ride.
There is or was the Indiana Jones stuff. There was the Jaws.
That's
attraction.
Disney.
Sorry.
Jaws used to be Universal. Yeah.
That used to be Universal, which is also there too.
I thought Indiana Jones was in Universal.
No,
that was Disney. Oh, it's Hollywood Studios, right?
The Indiana Jones stuff.
Okay, no, my bad. I take that back.
Or if you're in Disneyland, you have the Indiana Jones actual like motorized ride, which is really cool. Cool. So your last one, go.
Last one. Okay, I chose this one not because of the whole movie, but because I think the one theme alone is already enough to put you in a different universe. Shouldn't exist.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
good. I like it. Thank you.
Just that
would have
theme
been
alone.
like my 4th one or something.
Just that theme alone.
How cool was it that they got Itzhak Perlman on the documentary to talk about playing that theme? He's
top violinist.
Top violinist in the world. It's like, we need the best violinist in the world. Hey, and then oh, I don't know if I could play it. My wife's like, what are you talking about? John Williams asked you to pick it.
I'll think about it.
I'll think about it.
You told him I'll think about
It
it?
was John Williams asked you, and then
And Spielberg is
and
directing.
Spielberg is
Directing the
directing
film?
And you said, I'll think about it.
I called the next day. I said I was
It's
like,
like, honey, are you okay? Do you feel sick? Are you having a fever?
it's like, but obviously, like, yeah, no, we're good. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, that score is too
amazing.
good.
Yeah, because it was hard to pick another like a third movie that has like at least 5 themes from that movie that you go, oh yeah, that's I know I recognize that anywhere.
But that one, is
just that
so-
one is so powerurable. Oh,
My third pick was almost E.T., and so you probably would have picked E.T. if you've seen it. But
maybe. Well,
Well, he's seen it.
It's been
like
years.
20 years since
yeah,
he's seen
you
it.
don't remember.
Should go back and see it.
I was probably younger than 5.
They re-released
Yeah,
it a year or two ago in theaters.
That's right.
It
I
was
think
awesome.
you went.
Yeah, I went. It was
Yep.
really cool. Yeah.
Yep, it's so cool.
I gotta put that on
Yeah,
my.
'cause I had
my
never
list
seen
That
of
it.
movie
watch.
was born.
I had never
Sorry,
seen
my
it.
movie came out the year my sister was born in '82. So it comes down to
Ended
me,
up-
right?
Yeah.
Ended out. So
Say it.
since Anthony took like 2 of surprise took 2 of mine.
Well,
I'm gonna start.
We all know your
You weren't
top.
gonna pick Superman.
So I was gonna pick Superman. Yeah,
but
dude.
I handed you the one that you wanted. So.
I know. Thank you. So so the first one I'll pick since Anthony like sort of mentioned it was E.T. E.T. like that whole the whole sequence having of E.T. escaping. Elliot escaping from the government and like all the nice little like it's just so much wonder because at first like oh it's scary it's E.T. It's like no like it's just he's lost and he just needs to get home. It's just like this friendship bond of friendship and childlike wonder and there's just so much warm feelings I have when I think about E.T. especially like the final sequence like I always get teary-eyed at the very end because of how powerful the score is.
Mm-hmm.
So E.T. is my first. Second one, this is going to be kind of a deep cut. But
That's why I still like going on the ride. Like
Yeah.
that ride is so chill, but it's just like you're on a chill ride listening to the music. I'm like, oh, this is
my
nice.
gosh, John Williams this is great. So the second one, this one, it's kind of a slightly deep cut. It's a really good movie. I recommend watching it. And he does the score, and it's a really kind of like semi-somber, but also adds character to the film. 7 Years in Tibet.
Oh,
So that is a very good movie. It's about like a German Heinrich Herrer, played by Brad Pitt. He basically meets the young Dalai Lama, and it's the whole idea of how just the life and times of him interacting with the Dalai Lama in Tibet, and so he spends a lot of time there. Very great, a really awesome score, amazing score. And then obviously the last one, which I haven't touched on, which I remember hearing as a kid and immediately wanting to get a rope, tying it to a branch and swinging around with a hat, was Indiana Jones. Like the entirety, all 5 films, the Young Indiana Jones Adventures, stuff from the games, like whatever. But the main stuff that John Williams did, Indiana Jones, is like the Raiders March. Like we talk about what's iconic that people will recognize the moment they hear it. Like that opening trumpet fanfare, you already know.
100%.
It's already there. Also, an amazing delight was seeing Ke Huy Quan in the documentary. I was in the Oscars that same year that John Williams is nominated. I'm nominated. Spielberg's here, and we all meet together. And they talk about it, it's like, hey, isn't it cool that like John Williams like, hey, is it so cool that like you have your own theme based off of
How many people have their own theme?
yeah, like how many people have their own character theme in a John Williams film? And he's just like, holy crap, he's so right.
And a lot, but
yeah, but then they start playing. Yeah, but it's not. You think about it, it's not that many. If you think about it, but like then they start playing the short round theme from Temple of Doom, and I really love Temple of Doom, and I think that score is a little underrated. But it's obviously it's Indiana Jones. It's incredible, and obviously they show a little clip of no film score for The Last Crusade, and then with film score. And that
was a cool comparison.
So cool to see, and
just to show you that like the scene is like almost nothing without the music.
Yeah, and it's great that they highlighted my favorite out of the Indiana Jones saga. So really,
Number 4?
no, not number 4. No, yeah, Indiana Jones like really it's got to be from ones that everybody picked obviously because
Danny took my everything from episode 4 that I love, but yeah.
Sorry.
You can still pick it. Just pick us
Everything for me.
We all get to
I
pick a Star Wars.
said Ben Kenobi's death and the TIE attack.
There you go.
But yeah, all the cool themes from Last Crusade and it just that the whole saga like that. Oh, even the first the trilogy. Like I can just all the little themes I can hum. It's so good. It just makes me feel like a kid again, and just makes me really appreciate what music can do for a scene, but also for life.
Yeah.
And that's it.
That's it, everybody. Yeah, that's how we end the episode.
You can't top that. You can't top that.
Yeah, just keep it.
The mic has been dropped.
Yeah, the mic, it has indeed been dropped. So if you love this episode, share your favorite John Williams piece of music. If you also want to share other movies that, or other things that we talked about that John Williams has done, like obviously the Olympics theme, the NBC Nightly News, please, we'd love to hear what your thoughts are, and let us know what you thought about the documentary once you see it. So until next time, everybody, keep the music going and fire up your favorite film with the score and the music by John Williams.